Good morning. Busted
drinking coffee.
That's right. How about that? Welcome to Internet Roundup, the most professional talk show on internet.
There's no talk show.
It is not a talk show.
Did you just say on internet?
That's Josh, and I'm Chuck, and we normally host a very heady, educational podcast called Stuff You Should Know.
Yeah, but here we like to kick off our shoes and roll up our pants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do some wading in the creek. Did you ever do that as a kid?
Sure. Oh, yeah, you couldn't keep me out of bodies of water.
Wading? Isn't that funny? It's like, what is it? Just walking around in the water.
Yeah, that's it.
Pretty neat.
Just not actually getting in all the way.
Yeah.
I'm waiting.
I remember I took a trip to Colorado one time, and my friend and I jumped in a freezing cold lake.
Oh, wow.
And everyone else was just sightseeing from the shore, and we were like, live life, man. Get in. You don't know what you're missing. And everyone's like, oh, youth.
Right. Your toe just floats by.
Yeah. It was great, though. It's exhilarating.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So we round up the internet 2 articles at a time, and we're going to start one with a disclaimer.
Oh, yeah. So this story is factual, but it also contains a very graphic image of a dead body.
Yes.
So be forewarned.
You have 5 seconds to turn off.
Can we get a countdown here, Casey?
Yeah. 5, 4, there it goes.
3, 2, 1.
Yes.
And there it is.
So this is the mummified body of a man, a German man, whose name is Manfred Fritz Bajorat. I'm going with Bajorat.
Doesn't seem like a German last name.
No, it doesn't, but we've run into that plenty of times over the course of our careers.
Yes.
And what's the deal with him, Chuck?
Well, very sadly, he had been sailing around the world since he's a widower, since his wife passed away in 2010, and I guess successfully did so for a while.
Yeah.
Do we know how long he had been passed?
So he had been missing. They hadn't heard from him. His family hadn't for a year.
Yeah.
And then a few months ago, I don't even think that. I think at the end of February, news came out of the Philippines that a boat had been found listing on its side, but afloat, with its mast broken, clearly been battered by some storms.
Yeah, it was these people in a boat race.
Oh, yeah, it was
came
a
across it.
nice yacht.
Yeah, oh, no, not his.
Oh, I see.
The people who found it.
I didn't know that. I thought they were
boat
like
race.
fishermen. Wow,
no,
cool.
and they were like, let's suspend the race for a minute.
Yeah.
And check out this creepy floating boat.
Right, so they got on board, and their worst nightmare came true.
Yeah.
When they poked their head down, they found the mummified body of Manfred, who was, you can see, sitting at his table, which I'm sure doubled as like a breakfast nook and a work table.
Yeah.
Because it's a yacht,
Sure.
And he had his arm out, or he has his arm out. So basically, he was sitting there on the CB, or about to grab the CB.
Yeah.
And died. And apparently the salty air that he was exposed to floating around on a ghost ship for a year mummified him, and he was found like this.
Yeah, I think what's most disturbing is just the, how intact everything is, and the fact that it clearly looks like the guy probably died of natural causes.
Well, they think probably heart attack. Yeah,
and was trying to call for help at the last moment.
Yeah,
by getting over to the radio. So, man, really sad, but just macabre.
It is macabre. That's a great word for it, because again, a ghost ship sailed around with a mummy captain for a year before they found it.
That reminds me of the remember when that golfer Payne Stewart died?
No,
in the airplane.
That rings a vague bell, but
yeah,
no.
It was a private jet, and he and like three or four other guys. No, he wasn't flying it, but the plane was on autopilot.
Oh, yeah.
And I think something happened with the air in the cabin that killed everyone, and the jet continued to fly for like a number of hours.
Yeah, with
everyone dead inside.
They think that that's probably what happened with MH370 too. That the Malaysian Airlines jet.
Oh, right.
That it flew around for hours with everyone dead aboard too.
Creepy, man.
I know.
Yeah.
Things are not that's a ghost ship right there.
So we take our hats off to you, Mr. Manfred Fritz. Bajorat.
German. Yeah. How would you say that if you're a German person?
I don't know. I took German, and it doesn't look German at all, so I have no idea. but Manfred Fritz definitely sounds German.
Sure.
So apparently his daughter was, the last I heard, was on the way there to verify the remains.
Yeah, and that was like the end of February.
Yeah. And as usual, there's never any follow-up on a story like this.
They're just like, mummy found aboard ghost ship.
Yep, that's internet for you. It. Now we move to Canada and the U.S., actually. Apparently, the Canada Food Guide changed quite a bit in the 70s and 80s, like many food guides did at the time, to say, avoid fat, avoid butter,
right?
Avoid cut extra fat off your meats, and go as low fat as you can to live a heart-healthy lifestyle.
Right, and I mean, the Americans did the same thing.
Yeah.
The difference between America and Canada is that Canadians listen to their government. America is like, I'm not listening to you, FDA nanny state.
Sure.
Canada went, oh, okay, well, I guess that's what we should eat now.
Yeah, only one poutine meal a week
right.
for me.
Man, I love that stuff.
It's delicious.
So what happened, Chuck, was that they found that I don't think heart disease went down, but even more strikingly, obesity went through the roof.
Yeah. So
everybody in Canada is eating this healthy lifestyle that the Canadian Food Board says eat, and they're still getting fat.
And yeah, they also said, I mean, that was on saturated fats, which occur naturally in a lot of products.
Yeah.
But it also said in the food guide to only consume 2 to 3 tablespoons of unsaturated fat, which is supposedly the good fat. Not supposedly, it is the good fat.
Yeah, that's the stuff you get in like avocados or something like that.
Yeah.
So they said that you should have something like only 2 to 3 tablespoons of unsaturated fat. Avoid saturated fat or limit your saturated fat from like animal products or egg or dairy.
Yeah.
And then eat 6 to 8 servings of grain every day.
Mm-hmm.
So eat 6 to 8 servings of bread or potatoes. Well, that's not a grain, but carbohydrates, right? And they found that from this low-fat, high-carb diet, obesity went through the roof again. And so now they're starting to look at what went wrong. And they figured out, and this stuff fascinates me, man. I think we should do an entire episode on this.
An entire Internet Roundup episode?
No, an entire Stuff You Should Know episode.
Oh, okay.
They figured out that the whole problem centered around, I think, a 1950s, late 1950s, early 1960s study by a guy named Ansel Keys called the 7 Nations Study.
7 Countries Study.
And Ansel Keys found, his data said he linked high-fat intake to heart disease.
Yeah.
But if you really took his data and recreated it or extrapolated it on more than 7 countries, it fell apart. People didn't do that. Instead, they said fat leads to heart disease, so let's cut out fat. And
everyone bought it.
Everyone bought it.
Yeah.
Because it was pushed by like the American Heart Association. It was just adopted. I mean, like we grew up in a time where fat was evil.
Yeah.
And all like low-fat products were great. What people didn't realize though is that when you take fat out of foods, it does a couple of things.
It tastes like crap.
It tastes like crap. So that means you have to sweeten it or add flavor back into it. And they did that by using the cheapest stuff available.
Sure.
High fructose corn syrup, which will make you very fat. And then they also didn't realize that when you take fat out of a product, you're taking away the thing that makes you satiated, that makes you full.
Yeah.
So you want to eat more of it. So you're eating way more low-fat stuff with way more high fructose corn syrup in it than you would if you just ate the regular fat.
Yeah.
And people got fat as a result.
I've been I switched back to real butter.
Yep, same here.
And whole milk.
Yep.
And boy, is it delicious.
And I read also there's a lot of studies that actually find that not only is fat not bad for you, but some kinds of fat are actually beneficial. Like the fat found in milk fats, actually protect against heart disease, don't promote it.
Yeah.
Which is the exact opposite of what we've been told for the last few decades.
Yeah, so they're kind of revising their thoughts on all this right now for the official food guide from the government. And this one woman who she wrote a book about it says they asked her, what is an ideal fat consumption level and carb consumption level? And she says, well, I'm not going to recommend that, but if we could reverse back to a 40% carb intake, kind of back the way things used to be instead of like 60%, she said that's probably a step in the right direction.
She said she specifically eats about 50% fats, a little less than that of protein, and then a meager amount of carbs.
Yeah.
But the thing that stuck out to me, Chuck, was that there was like a lot of testimony about how Canada should revise its food guidelines.
Yeah,
and they said that none of the people testifying could say, well, this is how much fat you should have, this is how much sugar you should have. Nobody said that, but everyone agreed that you should be eating whole foods and not eating ultra processed foods.
Right.
Which is that to me is the key.
Yeah.
The food we eat is...
Eat real food.
Yes. If you eat real food, I think you're going to find, like, you don't have to think about it. You don't have to worry about it. And your body's going to make good use of that stuff. I think the culprit to me, and we love finding a culprit, which is how we got into this whole mess with fat anyway, is I think the culprit is ultra-processed food.
Oh, for sure. I mean, if you go to a dietitian these days, they say, just don't eat anything in a box or a package and you'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, like, you don't have to not eat cookies. Just make the cookies yourself out of ingredients you know are real ingredients. For real.
Yeah.
For real.
All right. Well, that's all we have for this week. Eat your fat. And if you go on a sailing trip, just stay in touch with your loved ones so they know what's going on.
Yeah.
That's our advice. So we'll see you next week on Internet Roundup.